Happy September. I am April Chadwick, and
I'm Diane
and we are with TMA Corner. How are you today, Mom?
I am great. And your hair looks very pretty.
Thank you.
We don't get to see you with your hair down very often.
Or straight.
Or
That's
straight.
why someone else did it for me. If someone else will do it for me, hey, and I'm just going to put this out there. If anyone wants to do my hair for me, I will let you do my hair for me.
That's kind of creepy. I'm just saying.
I don't care.
You may want to reconsider that. So.
Look at all of a sudden, we didn't know we had that many people.
I know.
More than our two. Woohoo.
There may be some, I'm not going to say it.
Don't put it in the universe.
Let that one slide.
So how have things been going in the lending industry?
That's good. Yeah, the rates are still very competitive. We're getting more purchases. Seems like the market is opening up a little bit. Still multiple offers, but seems like there are more purchases out there that's not quite as frantic as it was a few months ago. What are you seeing?
It's kind of the same. I think it's what we've all been, we went through COVID, and then it used to be, we were talking about being in Arizona, as we all know we are, but the whole United States went through this housing frenzy. And from everything that we're seeing, it's just finally starting to maybe get at a easier pace. Like we we're saying, that not necessarily a buyer's market, but where, there aren't multiple offers. There's no shortage of, I'm not going to say that stuff, where everything's busy. Like I would say a couple months ago or even a year ago, it was either there were so many offers coming in, appraisals were behind, underwriting was behind, everything and it seems like we're now just kind of coming together, taking a breath and going with that. And I thought I would tell you on this one, I thought two really interesting things. It's taken a while for the metrics to catch up because we've had so much going on in our economy and our country and everything. But one of the really interesting statistics that I was looking up was Arizona and iBuyers. So do you know what iBuyers are?
Yeah, I do, but why don't you tell us?
Do you? So no, iBuyers are basically the buyers that go online. They go through Opendoor, OfferPad, Zillow, just all of those. And those are people basically that buy their home online. And it was really interesting in Arizona for the past 3 months, from what people have bought or sold, iBuyers take up 1/3 of our real estate market right now, which I think is really interesting. One of the side marks on that though too was that in order of Opendoor buyers pay the highest. I won't go over the numbers, but they pay more than normal buyers. Zillow's are second, and then OfferPad third. And they offer, what that means is that they pay more for a home than average buyers. So I thought that was interesting. I know that we, as of course, in the mortgage industry, we don't deal with rentals or rental properties, but we deal with them on credit report. Or you were going to talk about maybe even they're going to be added to the credit reports, right? And we have to check. We obviously have to check, make sure that people have been paying their rent on time, things of that sort. And one thing I found really interesting about Arizona was, do you know from 2000 until 2019, rent increased in 19 years, rent increased 28% in 19 years. Do you want to take a guess how much it's increased in the past 2 years?
Bunches.
A lot. No, 36% in just 2 years.
Wow, 36% in 2 years.
In 2 years. However, the housing industry has increased 55% in the past 2 years.
The housing prices?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
55%. So I just think that's really interesting that it's really interesting that the rentals have gone that way. We've talked about before how much that we're really, what would you say, the housing market's really difficult for entry-level buyers to get in right now because our prices are so high. And I just find it really interesting as well that our rentals are so high.
Well, I think it's because it's a lack of inventory. People,
Oh, yeah.
there's a, supply and demand. By the way, is your dog down in your basement? Is that why?
Well, the
Is
thing
Ford
is,
at the basement?
we talk about something for a moment because he's outside and we're on speaker view. So I've just been waiting for you to pipe in on something so I can go run and let him in with no one seeing. So yes, I leave him in the basement. So, but I mean, with our inventory and everything, I would hope that as our inventory starts to increase and we become more of a buyer's market. And another thing I've been seeing is that we follow what's called the Cromford report in Arizona, and saying that 13 of our cities here are actually not going to say a buyer's market, but the pendulum's swinging more toward.
It's becoming more equal. It's coming somewhere to the center. Right
Right.
now, we're way over here, and it's starting to go back a little bit.
Right.
That way, so.
But then maybe once that goes back, then we will also get to a point where the rental market maybe comes down a little bit. But in all actuality, if you think about it, going that far, a lot of the things I've been reading have been saying that Arizona is what they're doing is calibrating for where they should be anyway. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, we've been undervalued for several years, mainly because we, like Vegas, we got hit the hardest of anywhere in the country when we had the meltdown back starting in about 2008. And that we had to live through that hangover. So I don't even think we even began to come out of it to 2016 or 2017. It was a long dry spell for so many people. I mean, it was horrible. So many people lost their houses, lost their jobs, and then our market became more normal again, but it still was undervalued for a long time.
I agree.
I tried to waste as much time as I could. I thought I was answering a quick question, so anyway.
This just never ends. I apologize. My dog is needing a lot of attention today. But wouldn't you say that that's a great sign? Or one more thing I wanted to say too, just as to caveat on what you were saying. Like a lot of people, and I really appreciate you, Diane, because I feel in some of these we've gone over the bubble. Like especially in 2020, for so long, so many people are like, oh, it's a bubble. It's going to burst. It's going to burst. And we're going to go back to where we were. And you have been such an advocate for saying, no, that's not where we are.
Yeah.
Not in the same situation. And one of the things, just even talking about it, but do you know in February 2005, so before the bubble, right? Before the crash, do you know what the average rent was in some places in Arizona per square foot? 64 cents. Right before. So, we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that. We have so much inventory, but boy, can you imagine rent for 64 cents?
Well, we don't have a lot of inventory for sale or rent, and that's what's rent. But that's the difference. Back in that time, there was plenty of inventory. But what we had is that we had so many different mortgage programs that anybody could buy, and investors bought. Investors were buying them like they were going to the store and buying packages of M&Ms, because it was so easy. That is not the case this time. There's nothing. Everything has been put into place that, as far as the mortgages, that you can't just. Before then, we used to tease back in those days, as long as you were breathing, you can get a loan. That's not the case today. And one thing too, I think that the market has gotten so strict that they're actually, the lending underwriting for QM or qualified mortgages, which are the agencies Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, USDA, have gotten strict that Fannie Mae is now going to offer allowing people to, they can allow rents to be considered as part of the approval process on first-time home buyers, or maybe not first-time home buyers, but maybe someone who has been renting for a while, to help with that process. And I've not gotten exacts on how that's going to work, but I think that is going to hopefully help some. And keep in mind, on a lot of the governments like FHA and VA, if you're renting, and they can ask for proof of the last 12 months rent being paid on time, but they're going to want to see that it was paid within the first 15 days. So just keep that. They will get, and they'll do it by canceled checks, not by a written VOE, unless a verification of rent, a VOR, unless it's by a viable property manager. I hope that made sense. In other words, if you're renting from your sister and, hey, I don't make my payments, can you just maybe put something on here? That's not going to be allowable.
Right.
That's not allowable. But anyway, I'm not sure how this is going to work with Fannie Mae adding it. We have not been giving the exact guidelines or the procedures on which we can follow for that.
Well, and I think it goes two ways. It could either, I think in our minds, like, hey, for first-time home buyers, that could actually kind of be a good thing if they, or people that don't have a lot of established credit, if they've been renting from
That's
some
right.
place that
Exactly
has
right.
property management, that's great. Because for all of you guys, I mean, lending in the wild, wild west, back in the day, you would say, yeah, I rented, and you put for 2 years, and as long as you didn't have a collection against you,
Yeah.
or a judgment, they're like, okay, you have. And so I think that, I mean, I don't know, like, I think that I'm always going to go to the positive, I think, but I think it'd be great for people that are, maybe even people that are trying to build their credit, if they've always been good at renting, but who knows?
Some landlords will put it on the credit now, but this is going to give broaden it a bit, but we will not know until probably next week what that's going to look like.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's all exciting. Like, that's exciting if that's a way that we can help, if it ends up being an advantageous thing. We're going to have new limits coming out in November, into November.
Well, the other is the non-QM products, which I probably should go over in a complete, I won't go into it, but non-QM, non-qualified mortgage, means not the agencies that we always talk about, because those are basically, as long as it's a QM or qualified mortgage and you follow the Ability to Repay Act, then the government's basically going to protect those loans, not for the people, but for the banks that are making them. But non-QM is becoming out full force. In other words, those loans aren't protected. Those are typically portfolio, some other investor is backing them. And there have been a lot of cool products, a lot easier to do for nationals now. Now, this is not for people who have limited down payment, but for people who are self-employed, there are a lot of different options for bank statement programs, or there are a lot of options available now for the qualified mortgage.
I think that's great.
Non-qualified, non-QM,
Non-QM.
There we go.
This is all positive. Like, those things, even finding this information out right now, like, okay, rents are going up. People want to buy a home. Knowing that iBuyers, I know so many agents I work with, and like, oh, well, I've got this person or this person, it's so hard to deal with this. No, talk to them and say you're paying over. You're going to pay over substantially.
With the rents now going up, with the rents increasing as they have, it is so much cheaper to own your own home, or less expensive. Yeah, I know there's a lot of kinds of pros and cons, but for home ownership, I don't think it's ever been a better time, even with the increased housing, even with the increased sales prices. The payments are still very affordable.
Because the rates, and then as you know, the rates are still great.
Yeah.
And I think that now that it's finally, like we said, it was a pendulum. It hasn't gone this, like I was doing, like the ride at Six Flags. It's like gone like this, whoop, but it's still coming down. And I think that's great. And it's a great time for people, just be inquisitive. If you're a buyer and you've been wanting to buy and you keep hearing about how bad the market is right now, it's the time to just kind of get out there and look, contact your agent. If you're an agent, this is a great time to just, I know so many, we've talked about the roaring 20s on here in summer and everybody getting out of COVID. But I think this is a great time. We're coming into fall, and let's get ready to get buyers into homes. They're out there.
That's correct. Let's do it. I'm ready.
She's ready. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, there are, but we've got to save some for the next week.
Yeah, I can't talk about it all.
Can't talk about it all.
Well, and like we were talking about, like, if you are inquisitive, if this is something you either have people that tell you about it, you watch this, call Diane, get pre-qualified. It doesn't hurt to get pre-qualified. You don't hurt a soul, do you?
I try not to, but it's who you talk to.
That's not the end goal, but you know,
Yeah, I start every sentence, my apologies, but your
You
credit sucks. You're not ever gonna be able to buy. No, I don't do that, ever, ever. No.
you
But
call your
yeah.
children and go, my apologies.
Yeah, my apologies,
Fine.
my apologies, yeah. So, but, but yeah, please, anyone can call me anytime, 480-235-5667.
And please do just get, there are so many things out there, and I hope that these are helping people, or at least making them feel, because it's scary. It's the largest investment you're going to make.
And call April. What is your number, April?
I will, hold on a second. But if you do want to get pre-qualified, if you do have questions, please call Diane. We've mentioned her number. You can text her or contact your agent, have them call Diane. And if you're an agent, or if you have any questions or want to do my hair, my phone number is 602-740-5319. And thank you guys. Welcome to TMA Corner, and follow us. But also, I've been getting some input on things that we should go over. So thank you. We appreciate that. And go Cardinals. It's that time of year. So, all right. I hope everybody has the beginning of a wonderful September, and have a great day.
And you have a great day. Have a great week.
And
Bye.
a great day to my dog.
Yeah. Bye.